Paul, you're up. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin. On deck is Dr. Sonia from Whitewater.
Hello, my name is Paul Mozina. I'm from Milwaukee, and I'm going to be a little redundant, but I hope I'll also give you something new to consider. In October of 2020, the FDA had a meeting where they were trying to examine what they should be concerned about with this vaccine rollout that they were preparing to do. And some of these are names you've already heard, but these are some of the things that the FDA, identified in October of 2020. Guillain-Barré syndrome, acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, that's chronic fatigue syndrome, transverse myelitis, I don't know what that is, but encephalitis, convulsions, seizures, stroke, narcolepsy, anaphylaxis, acute myocardial infarction, myocarditis, immune disease, death, pregnancy, birth outcomes, acute. I could go on and on. They were worried about this in October of 2020, and they said, well, we're going to use the VAERS system. The CDC hosts the VAERS system. They said we're going to do this surveillance, but we've heard from so many speakers they really haven't done any surveillance. I mean, they haven't. They haven't done anything with the data that has been collected in the VAERS system. There's been no Operation Warp Speed investigation of the actual adverse outcomes. I mean, some people have died. Some people died within weeks after the first vaccines, and we have yet to hear a single report from the Department of Health and Human Services or the CDC or the FDA, anybody. They haven't actually investigated a single report. So they're able to say the VAERS system is all, there's no causative, there's no causation there. It's all unproven. Well, then why don't they investigate it? Why don't we have an Operation Warp Speed to investigate all the reports that are in VAERS? Because this is an unprecedented rollout of a vaccine program, and it should be complemented with just as intense oversight of the outcomes that people are experiencing. And the other thing is, why is there? I think you, Representative Murphy, you just brought it up. Why was there no Operation Warp Speed on coming up with researching sequenced multi-drug therapies to treat people? Because we know this COVID has a progression. We start with nutraceuticals, vitamin D and the vitamins. Then we have the antivirals. And then the next thing is the corticosteroids. And then it's finally the anticoagulants, so you don't get the clots. We know, in fact, that Dr. Peter McCullough you might have seen him on the media. He's been his whole life dedicated to this, and he's been on many videos, and he was the first to publish. He's got like hundreds of published papers. He was the first to publish an actual protocol for outpatient treatment, just to keep people from getting in the hospital. So I guess I have a couple asks for you, as they say. We know that the federal, the CDC, and the Department of Homeland Services hasn't done an investigation into these deaths. Can you ask the state of Wisconsin, Department of Health Services, to investigate the deaths of Wisconsin people? Why can't you just say, hey, you know what? We can't wait for the government anymore. Let's put some data on the table here. What happened to our people in Wisconsin? We have resources. Let's look into it. And you could also say, you know what? We can't wait for Fauci and the CDC to investigate sequential multi-drug therapies. Let's do it ourselves. Let's mandate our health services and do it ourselves. Let's not wait for them. I'll wrap it up quick. And I bear with me here. There's a real principle here that I really would like you to consider, and that is that this is about bodily autonomy and our natural right to be the masters of our own bodies. No one has the right to dictate what another person can or cannot inoffensively put into their bodies. No one has a right to dictate that, and thus this is not a right that can be delegated. You don't have the right to delegate to an association calling themselves the government. You don't have the right to delegate to that association the authority to tell people what they can or cannot put in their bodies. Yet, there are members in the Wisconsin Senate and Assembly who think that they have legitimate right to criminalize people for choosing to consume cannabis, even for a medicinal purpose. You categorically, many of you have categorically denied the right of people in the state of Wisconsin to choose to medicate themselves. One second, sir. To choose to medicate themselves with cannabis. And so this is the same principle. Please consider that the principle at stake with the choice to consume cannabis and the choice to not take a vaccine is the same fundamental, inherent, inalienable right to be the masters of our own bodies. Please have consistent principles across these issues. I know I went over time, sir. I appreciate your indulgence, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for driving here to testify and waiting so long. Any questions? Thank you. Next, Dr. Sonia.
Hi, I'm Sonia Narishkin. I'm an MD. I'm a physician with 30 years practice experience.
Oh, and
Hello.
next up is John Klingling from Milwaukee.
Go ahead. Hi, I'm Sonia Narishkin. I'm a physician. I'm an MD, and I've got a lot of other initials after my name. I heard people talking about that earlier. I recently retired from my regular job. I've had 30 plus years experience, plus some experience in the past in basic immunology.